This is a video of the skies during National Astronomy Week, or mid-November, but I'm actually recording it on the 4th of November, so you might see one or two fireworks and hear them as well. Here goes one now. I'm going to start up in the sky looking over to the south where we've got Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter is the lower and the brighter one there, and they've been with us during the summer, and they'll be with us right until the end of December, when they'll be very close together indeed, and that will be something to look for through telescopes, because they'll be closer than they have been for something like 400 years. But that's another matter. Here we are, Jupiter and Saturn in the sky, well worth looking at through telescopes if you can get them by National Astronomy Week. They'll be a bit lower in the sky and a bit closer together, but not a great deal. Now, if we move up from those two stars, we'll see some stars which have been also around since the summer, and this is the area known as the Summer Triangle, and you can just about see the three stars of the Summer Triangle there. The one down at the bottom is Altair, and it's got two other stars on either side of it, one of them just off the bottom of the frame at the moment. The one right at the top is Deneb, and the one over to the upper right is Vega, one of the brightest stars in the sky. These three stars, as I say, form what we call the Summer Triangle, but okay, it's getting into autumn, winter now. They will be in the sky until for another month or so, maybe even later, so that we still call them the Summer Triangle. But they're a good guide to various constellations in the sky, and well worth looking out for. The one right at the top, Deneb, is pretty well overhead at the moment, and it's at the one end of the constellation of Cygnus, or what we call the Northern Cross, and it represents a swan flying down the Milky Way, which you can't really see tonight, but also the Northern Cross, very much bigger than the more famous Southern Cross, which is on the flags of Australia and New Zealand, but nevertheless we have a cross of our own, pretty well overhead at the moment. Now I'm going to move over to the left, to the east, and there's one constellation I want to draw your attention to. It's another big signpost to the sky, and it's called the Square of Pegasus. The constellation of Pegasus, the flying horse, is up there over in the east. I can certainly see it with the naked eye. It's quite a large square. It's not as bright as you might like. The stars are about the same as the brightness of those in the Plow, if you can think of those, but it's very much a constellation of the autumn, and it's a good signpost to other stars in the sky. But at the moment we don't actually need it so much, because we've got the planet Mars just below it, and in the middle of National Astronomy Week it will be, if you're up later than this, it will be higher in the sky. This is the sky just after sunset, or about an hour after sunset at the start of National Astronomy Week. To the left of Mars we've got the constellation of Aries. Those three stars are the brightest stars of the most recognisable pattern of Aries. You can't see very much more of them at the moment, I'm afraid, but they are one of the zodiacal constellations, so everybody has heard of them. Moving over to the left further, to the left of Aries there, you can see a pattern, very distinctive pattern, which is one of the constellation of Winter, and it's rising now, and this is the constellation of Perseus. It's a sort of T-shape really, and moving above that we have, well, a lot of people recognise the constellation of Cassiopeia, the W shape of Cassiopeia. Now, I mentioned Pegasus. Now, if we move from Cassiopeia back to the Square of Pegasus there, you can see and get the whole of Cassiopeia, Perseus and Pegasus in. Between the Square of Pegasus and Perseus are three stars, three bright stars, and quite a number of others which are the constellation of Andromeda. A lot of people have heard of the Andromeda Galaxy, and I can show you how to find it. Actually, you can see it in the viewfinder at the moment on this screen, so it shows that it can be seen in quite a poor sky. What you do to find the Andromeda Galaxy is find the Square of Pegasus, take the top left-hand star, move two stars along, like this, then two stars up, and you come to, just a bit further on, a little misty patch, and I'm going to increase the shutter speed of the camera now, or decrease it from 20th of a second to about a quarter of a second, and that will have the effect of brightening up the view. And you can see the little patch, the little misty patch, which is the Andromeda Galaxy there, which is something like 2.5 million light years away. Out in the country you can see with the naked eye quite easily, and you can see it with binoculars even from the centre of London. I've done it myself from Kensington Gardens, and so if you see that, this is the most distant object you can see with the naked eye under good conditions, 2.5 million light years away. The light that you're seeing now left it 2.5 million years ago. Between Perseus and Cassiopeia is another misty patch, and that is what we call the double cluster. You can see it quite clearly there, and that's well worth looking at through binoculars. It really is a cluster of stars, a pair of clusters of stars in our own galaxy, some considerable distance away, about 6,000 or 7,000 light years away, but nothing like as far away as the Andromeda Galaxy. Moving down from there and rising at the moment, we have some interesting parts of the sky. There's a little group of stars, another cluster, which you can see on the right hand side there, and this is the Seven Sisters, or the Pleiades star cluster, and they are a real feature of the winter skies, the autumn and winter skies. Well worth looking at through binoculars. And down at the bottom there we've got the constellation of Aries and the bright star Capella, which I've shown you there. Move round a bit further and we come to something that everybody probably recognises. Actually, I'll change the shutter speed back to 25th of a second or 20th, so that it doesn't brighten up the sky too much. This is more as you would see it with the naked eye, and that is the constellation of the Plow, or to give it its proper name, Ursa Major. Follow the two right-hand stars of the Plow upwards and you come to the pole star. Once you've found that from wherever you're observing, your standard observing site, make a note of where it is. It will always be in exactly the same position. The rest of the sky moves around it, and that will always be exactly due north and at the same angle above the horizon as your latitude. In my case, about 51.5 degrees. If you're up in the north of England, about 55, 57, up in Scotland, getting on for 58, even 60 degrees. So that is the pole star. Winding around the pole star is the constellation of Draco, the dragon, and then moving around, well, we go back to where we started, and there's the constellation, there's a star, bright star Vega in the constellation of Lyra. So that's a very quick look at the constellations that will be visible during National Astronomy Week.